All right, guys, and welcome back to the Deep Threats. We are here live with you again, coming back at you. Sorry we were in such a long delay and everything. I had a lot of things we were working on outside of just here in the studio, family, friends. Tis summer, and we were getting back into everything. Plus, fantasy season, so we were drafting a whole bunch too. But as always, I'm here. You're a wonderful, enthusiastic host when it comes to football, and you have my co-host who is now we're gonna say permanent, man. We're gonna say permanent. So he's here from now on until I don't know, till we have a fight. But outside of that, welcome Wheels.
Thank you. Happy to be back. Excited to get back into it. We got a lot to talk about with the week 1 coming up, Thursday night game in 4 days. And then you have the whole situation with...
Whoa. We have a Thursday night game in 4 days? Does that mean it's football season?
It does.
Who is it?
I think it's Detroit versus KC, right?
Oh, shit. Here we go. But before we jump into all of that, right? Because... football is like tomorrow. It feels like it's tomorrow.
It's
if
like
you
Christmas
guys
morning,
haven't done your drafts yet, which I have a draft. What is today? Sunday? Yeah. I have a draft tomorrow at like 7:15 at night. Not looking forward to that one. But outside of that, if you haven't done your drafts yet, guys, we can get into a little bit of that today and talk about some people that you probably should stay away from. Yes. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. We drafted this guy in the 3rd round of our first mock draft of the season.
And we got mocked for it.
Yeah, so you guys will want to stay away from him, to be honest with you. And I think 3rd round's a great spot for him if you can risk it. But before we get into all that, was there anything let's just say in the last week or so that you think is very pertinent news or anything going on in the NFL or maybe any NFL team that may or may not be playing football this year? What do you think, Wheels?
You want to talk about Detroit a little bit and how we see them playing how many primetime games and how many short weeks that are getting shafted by the NFL?
So, you know what's funny? I don't know how we didn't catch this, right?
No.
We did not catch this when we were looking at schedules and rosters.
It's insane.
And this is kind of crazy to me because when looking at schedules and rosters, all I heard from Pittsburgh fans was, we got the most Thursday night games of all time. Yeah. And then we just wrote down the schedule for all primetime games. Ago. And I think, what was a 7 out of 17 weeks for Detroit, they have primetime games?
Which is insane. I mean, you're talking about such a young team, and what is the 3rd-year head coach, I think this is now?
Second.
And then you got Jared Goff, who essentially was banished. I don't want to say banished from the NFL, but pretty much was. He was going to, live out the rest of his days with Detroit. And guess what? They're a contender. If they come into week 1 and win, which I think they can definitely do, call me crazy, they are going to cement themselves as contenders for the rest of the season. And don't think that Detroit or that Minnesota is going to be a lock for that division, because they are far from a lock from that division, in my opinion.
Well, and for me personally, I have Minnesota, and no one's a lock. It's NFL. No one in reality is a lock. Nobody thought Jacksonville was going to do what they did last year to make the playoffs. And nobody thought Detroit was going to do what they did last year to make the playoffs.
Exactly. And Detroit could definitely be a Jacksonville type team again this year. You don't know. I mean, it's one injury away from some teams.
And to be honest with you, we talked about their suspensions. We think the suspensions could be an issue. We think that there's other things going on there that could be an issue. We have a defensive head coach who struggled coaching defense, which was very weird.
Yes.
Because that secondary, I think, gave up some of the most points in the NFL.
Yeah, they were the 30th ranked on
30th or 31st, because I think Minnesota was right there too.
They were 30th on yak yards for the year.
Oh, that's ridiculous. So you don't know how to tackle.
No.
I wouldn't want to get tackled by that coach. No. But
it's a learning curve. A lot of that team's real young, so it's just you're teaching some young men, just how to be men essentially in the NFL.
But they still don't know how to do that because they're all suspended.
Yeah, there's a lot of ego, I think, with every player that comes in the NFL, and obviously you got the old heads who've been through it before. Jared Goff, he's a veteran, I want to say now, and hopefully he needs to pick up that locker room and say, it's my team, you guys need to listen, we need to win. You got to stop with the childish bullshit. I don't
know. I'm super excited about this team, right? But I don't find it easy for a team like Minnesota to take that many steps back. Kirk Cousins is one of the most consistent quarterbacks since he's been in the NFL. I think I just saw a stat the other day, like historical quarterbacks who have had 25 or more scoring or more touchdowns per season over like their career, and like Kirk Cousins is right there. So like it's not like, and now you go give him Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and KJ Osborne
and TJ.
And you signed Hawk to the largest contract in the NFL for a tight end in history of football.
So let's talk about that for 1 second. You signed Hawkinson before JJ. Do you think JJ's a little mad about that, or
hell no? JJ's what? This is his third year or fourth year? Fourth. This is his fourth year.
So he's got 1 year left with the fifth year.
He's got a fifth year option. I think they'll sign him because I think they'll sign him because what's going to end up happening is Kirk's not going to go take a big contract.
No,
if he stays, it's going to be a team-friendly contract. I mean, he's not worth top 10 quarterback money.
No, he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think he's going to pull a Tom Brady type of contract. I'll take a team-friendly deal so we can be contenders.
I think that's smart for him because he's not the guy that changes the game. If anything, he's the guy that loses the game. He's already proven that.
Yeah, he's not a me. I'm the reason we're winning game. Quarterback at all. He's not that type of quarterback.
And to be honest, the one thing with Minnesota that I really do have an issue with is running back.
Yeah, you just
and it's not about the Dalvin Cook situation. Like, I didn't really care that they lost Dalvin Cook because they have Madison. And Madison's kind of proved that he can be a manageable back. But when you're getting rid of your rookie backs and signing guys off the waivers, and you don't have a guy behind Alexander Madison. So what does that do to that offense? Because they haven't done anything. Even with final roster cuts, I saw them lose a whole bunch of named backs that we liked.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what they're doing.
Like McBride not being there, or not, is it
Dwayne McBride?
Dwayne McBride
from UAB
getting cut was kind of mind-blowing to me because that was depth. Even if he was a third guy, that's depth.
I know, but he's not costing you anything.
But
you go out and sign
he's a rookie.
I get you go out and sign Myles
But you
Gaskins.
drafted him too, right?
That's what I'm saying. He's not making anything, but then now you go out and sign Myles Gaskins to I don't know exactly what
I like Myles Gaskin, but Myles Gaskin is a very out of the backfield kind of back who he's not a guy that's going to be breaking tackles.
No,
he might slip a few tackles here and there. If you have a good O-line, he's going to do what he can to get downfield, but this is we're talking a 3.8 yards per carry
he's
back.
Not a bowling ball back where he's going to push his way through the line and fight for that extra
If anything, he's another guy on the outside of the line. He's another slot receiver. Worst, best case scenario.
So a guy that I think they definitely need to bring in, and he's still on free agency, who could, I guess you could say two guys who has a running dynamic like Dalvin Cook is maybe Hunt. Maybe James Robinson. Both those guys, Hunt.
That excites me. I want to know what's going on with Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt, even a downhill Kareem Hunt is better than Myles Gaskin.
100%.
So
I think even a downhill Kareem Hunt is better than Alexander Madison.
Oh, that's hard to argue. That's hard to argue.
There's a reason why Madison has been behind Cook for so many years.
3?
Yeah, but
because it's Cook. You didn't it. No, that's a bad argument.
How?
That's a bad argument. Alexander Madison has always filled the shoes of Cook when Cook was not there. They did not miss it running back.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he could.
But you said he's behind him, so that statement. Okay, so right now, Breece Hall's behind Dalvin Cook.
No, Dalvin Cook is over Breece Hall.
Well, I said Breece Hall's behind Dalvin Cook, right?
Yeah, Breece Hall's behind Dalvin Cook.
Well, there's a reason why they got Dalvin Cook, because they didn't believe in Breece Hall.
No, I don't. We already talked about it.
But here's what I'm saying, that's kind of absurd. Even for the Browns, there's a reason Kareem Hunt was behind Nick Chubb. Even though they were both averaging the same amount of yards per carry the first year here.
Chubb was the leader of that running offense.
I agree. But I'm just saying, you can have a two-headed...
So, a 1A, 1B is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see that. But
Madison, what Madison was for Dalvin Cook was, let's get Dalvin Cook off the field. Let's give him a breather.
Where you're not losing a lot of talent.
Right.
I could see that, yeah. So we'll go talk about that Breece Hall thing again, too, because we talked about that the other day. That definitely is a mind-boggling fantasy.
So here's the thing right now. If you're drafting in fantasy, I'm drafting Dalvin Cook over Breece Hall.
100%. I'm not
for two reasons.
Hall
Right?
In the first 2 rounds.
For 2 reasons. I'm taking Dalvin Cook over Breece Hall because they went out and got Dalvin Cook, paid him $9 million to play this year. The second reason is Breece Hall hasn't proven that he could step on the field yet and play yet. And if he's going to come back, we all know they come back in a limited role. Yes. So I see best case scenario for Breece Hall, a 30% target or snap share within the first 4 weeks.
Yep.
That's best case scenario.
Yep. I don't think he comes back to full health till at least week 4.
And Michael Carter's still under contract.
And Michael Carter's not bad. He filled the shoes.
So
just fine
Dalvin Cook,
Breece
Michael
wasn't
Carter, and Breece Hall are all going to be taking snaps. Dalvin Cook's probably going to be somewhere around that 60 to 70, and the other two are going to be splitting whatever the difference is for those running backs.
So what did you say when we were talking about Dalvin Cook? What type of a running back is he?
I mean, Dalvin Cook's very versatile.
Yeah,
he can catch the ball out of the slot.
consistent-
He's downhill. Oh yeah,
He's a rhythm back, like you
yeah.
said.
He
needs touches.
He's
to
a rhythm back.
maintain.
So like Adrian Peterson was a rhythm back.
Yeah.
Like Adrian Peterson needed at least 20 touches to start going off towards the end of his career. I think Dalvin Cook, like you got to get Dalvin Cook involved in the game
at least
plan.
15, minimum
And
15
I think
touches.
the issue with that team, and I said this from day one, if Dalvin Cook goes to the Jets, I'm dropping the Jets to 3rd place.
Because
They didn't need him, and I think it's too many mouths to feed, and I think it's going to cause animosity in the locker room. I think you got Michael Carter, who's like, I wanted the starting back.
Why am I here?
I think you got Breece Hall, who's like, I get it. I can compete for that role when I come back healthy. I don't think it hurts Breece Hall. And then something happened in the offseason where Corey Davis is like, I'm out on football. What happened there?
Yeah, and you have Aaron Rodgers, who is Corey Davis, is the best quarterback you will have ever played with in your career.
And you were supposed to be in a potential year, and Corey Davis was looking to be the 2 to 3, and he was going to get targets.
Yeah,
it was Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, at Alan Lazard, and Randall Cobb, who's literally just there to sit on the bench.
He's there to hold the towel for Aaron Rodgers or wipe his ass. So.
Yeah, so I mean,
we're not saying this is Aaron Rodgers. You know, everybody says, "Oh, Treble follows Aaron Rodgers." It's not like that. The fact is that this team is under a microscope.
We should flip that. I think Trouble follows Nathaniel Hackett.
You could, Nathaniel Hackett. You're not wrong. But so this
wherever Nathaniel Hackett goes, the offenses perform horrible.
Everybody always says, "Oh, the media always makes Aaron the bad guy." No, the problem is that Aaron likes to be in the spotlight, and guess what? We always say, bad press or bad publicity is always good publicity.
Oh, any publicity is good publicity. Right,
It's nothing against Rodgers.
If you're in the news cycle, you're making money.
I watched that preseason game against the Browns where they had Aaron talking. It was a great to see him talking. He looked, kind of revitalized. Again, I don't want to say Tom Brady-esque where, he goes to Tampa, he kind of feels himself again. I hope the Jets do good, but I just, like you said, there's too many mouths to feed. It's a weird circumstance to have for the Jets because of where they were at a year or two ago when you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with the Jets is that it's not that there's not talent there.
No,
that's not the argument.
Both sides
there's
of the
plenty
ball.
of talent there. The argument is what is going on. Sorry,
you're fine.
Itchy nose. What is going on with that coaching staff that they felt they needed to bring in a Dalvin Cook, an Alan Lazard, a Randall Cobb, all of these pieces?
Is it Aaron Rodgers?
It's 100% Aaron Rodgers.
Okay,
it's 100%. He's trying to Tom Brady this.
So the problem is when this doesn't work. Not to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
If this doesn't work, is he going to be held accountable, or is the coaching staff going to be held accountable?
Well, you can't hold a guy accountable who just restructured his contract just to sign people.
Exactly.
So you have to hold the coaching staff accountable. Exactly. But Robert Saleh is not. I don't think he's a bad coach.
No, Robert Saleh's not a bad coach.
I think the issue is going to be it worked for Tom Brady. It's gonna work for Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know. Tom Brady was a team player.
You had a lot better.
Who got a little upset when someone did something wrong, whereas Aaron Rodgers
pouts.
It's not that he pouts. It's that he holds everyone to his standard, and you can't do that.
No.
Everybody has their own standard.
Yeah.
Like Garrett Wilson, you might be able to hold to your standard just because Garrett Wilson is a very good talent. And even Randall Cobb was saying, I guess, during Hard Knocks that you guys got to stop like pissy fiddling around because this isn't going to, like, Aaron won't throw to you. Like that's kind of his attitude right now.
If you're not serious, you're not getting the ball.
Yeah.
It's a trust thing. So if you're not taking it serious from training camp, why does he expect you to take it serious in game time? He wants you. He trusts you essentially.
Which fantasy purposes wise, this is why I'm super high on Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And I would be high on Dalvin Cook.
100%.
Like I would be.
Yeah.
But when it comes to winning games, I have them at third in their division. Now, mind you, that is a very hard division.
Yeah.
They can win 11 games and still be in third. So I just have them there. That's where I have them because I see it being a struggle in hard situations. Like we're fourth and 4 minutes left, and it's Garrett Wilson, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Rodgers has the ball. You're going up against good defense. I see more mistakes for Aaron this year than in his whole career because now he sees the trophy, and now he's got to force his way to it. And I think that's the difference.
You comparing the Brady situation to the Aaron Rodgers situation, I think the offense that Brady played with was a little bit more talented because you had Mike Evans and Godwin. I'm not taking anything away from Garrett Wilson, but going from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard.
But Godwin was never on the field. It was Antonio Brown when he won a Super Bowl and Mike Evans. And hands down, those are way better wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one's going to be historical Hall of Famer. Antonio Brown might never make the Hall of Fame just because
he's crazy.
He's a TO situation. Like you don't just make it first round ballot because you played good football. No. Like there's more to it. Like Mike Evans is going to be a first round ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I hope 9
consecutive seasons.
I pray that Baker and Kyle Trask together can get him his 1,000 yards because
I think they can.
See it. And
Baker did it with Odell and Landry, so I think they can.
And everybody's down on him.
Yeah, that's another team, man. I think there's 2 teams this year that I think a lot of people are out on. Tampa Bay is one of them.
I'm not.
Like, I think that is such a weak division.
I think they can win 8 to 9 games. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't see why not. Like,
I think it's a weak division. I think Atlanta, they did some stuff with their defense.
I think Atlanta has an identity issue right now.
No, they don't. They're a running team. That's their identity. They are a running team. If you're saying they have a quarterback issue, I agree with that.
Yes.
But they drafted Desmond Ridder, and now they're giving him a chance. And if Desmond Ridder doesn't work, we all know Taylor Heineke can take that ball.
But the thing is I think Atlanta's going to stick with Ridder because guess what? If they play bad and they tank, you're getting Caleb Williams, possibly Drake May.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of good quarterbacks. There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming in this draft. I think we'll talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that. So here's a couple things that's changing, right? We've already talked about this. We're going to be streaming. We said Sunday mornings.
Yep. Sunday.
Okay, we're going to be streaming Sunday mornings before the games.
Yep.
So essentially, we're going to have our fantasy kit ready, locked down. Yep. Maybe we'll probably do our pick'ems that day also. We're going to be streaming. God, this weird nose itch driving me insane. We're going to be streaming
Mondays.
We're going to be trying to be doing that around 5:36 like we used to on Wednesdays. Yep. So it'll be after work on Mondays. We're going to be streaming, and that's going to be kind of a recap over what happened the week before. And then we are also going to be streaming on Thursdays before games.
Yep.
So about 5:30, 6 o'clock, we're going to be coming live. We'll probably keep them around half an hour to an hour show, depending on what we're talking about. Because there won't be as much to talk about when we do 3 shows a week.
Because it'll be evenly spaced out.
Yeah. So, and I think and if you guys want us to do something, please give us a heads up in the chat. Communicate with us. I know nobody's out here on Sunday morning right now because nobody knew we were live today. So if you do watch it, pop back in.
We're getting back into it. We took a little bit of a breather. Plus, we had the storm that knocked out internet and power here for the last couple of days.
Yeah, there's another 100-year storm. They seem to happen every 10 years though. It's kind of weird.
It's crazy.
Kind of weird. I don't believe in global warming, but I definitely believe that we're a bunch of pussies out here and we don't know how to handle it.
No.
So so that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into streaming 3 days a week. We're going to be updating on the games, and then we might have guests pop in and out. It's going to be me and Wheels for the most part.
Yeah.
Are going to be kind of hosting all these shows. If you don't like our opinions, go fuck yourself. And
yeah, pretty much.
No, I'm just kidding. If you don't like our opinions, I want to hear yours. I really do want to hear yours. I want to hear what you have in the chat. I talk to people all the time, and I know a lot of people that watch this I still talk to outside of.
Yeah. And so there's one thing that we stay on this show. We stay with our takes. If we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right. But we're going to take blame. Like I said,
right.
I said that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a bust when he came out last year. After the season, and gave him props. I'll take it on the chin.
I'm trying to think. There was somebody that proved me wrong recently, and I was like, I can't say much about it. I was out on that guy. I will say that, You guys all know I was high on Bijan, but I wasn't like as high as I think
Falcons.
I definitely wasn't high on Falcons.
Jeez.
That aside, there was other running backs I was higher on coming out of this draft, and
I love.
I think Bijan. I think it's a risk to take Bijan in any fantasy draft. But you're gonna get the numbers.
Yeah, so the biggest risk with running backs, with rookies,
first years
is let's roll back a couple of years.
Overuse is an injury prone.
Let's roll back a couple of years. Everybody remember Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know he was the last pick in the first round.
His rookie season was phenomenal. You're going to lose this one. It was a sophomore season that he shit the bed on.
I know, but you drafted him. I saw him getting drafted second, third, fourth, fifth.
No, I saw him getting back of the first.
So
his first year, I saw him around 10 to 14.
I think I saw him fourth or fifth in my one draft.
No way. No way. Not with Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey,
Dynasty,
Jonathan Taylor.
Sorry, Dynasty.
No way.
Rookie Dynasty draft, buddy. Rookie Dynasty.
That would have been three. No. Your team's... whoever's drafted... Oh, yes.
Rookie
draft. A rookie draft. Not a dynasty startup, but a rookie draft. Okay, I can understand.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
So,
all right, but if we're talking redraft, which most people play redraft, very few people. Redraft. He was going back of the first into the turn. Yeah.
Into the early mid second year.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. But no,
because there wasn't the receivers then when he came in. Like there were still good receivers. They just weren't all of the receivers that there is now.
Yeah,
like,
and I know.
I'm pretty sure that was JJ's rookie year. A lot of people weren't in on JJ.
No, nobody was really in on JJ.
Yeah.
JJ in my one redraft league went undrafted, actually.
Dude, if you had him in a keeper league and you got him like the 14th round, like you were ecstatic. You were ecstatic. So, but like one of the guys that we were talking about this year, because I know you were getting into running backs. We'll jump aside to the wide receiver with Cooper Kupp, right?
Yeah, I mean, so we did our fantasy draft a couple weeks or about excuse me.
It was about 2 months ago.
Two months ago. Yeah. And we took
This is our first redraft draft, three wide receivers, full PPR.
Yep. And we went with Cooper Kupp in the third, and we had some people in the chat saying how,
that was crazy.
It was crazy. You guys don't know what you're doing. Well, why we did that is injury history. He's on I don't want to say a terrible team, but a team that, with their quarterback coming off an injury, they're not a young team. They're kind of just getting back into it. So, and he's injured, hamstring injury, and we saw that with who? Keenan Allen last year was an entire
a whole year.
And the whole year, a hamstring is nothing to play with in the NFL. It is a big injury. Especially
hamstrings and high ankle sprains. If it's not 100% before the season starts, and you're practicing on it, you're gonna have constant issues all year.
And your name isn't Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna have issues.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes! I don't think he faked his injury. No comment.
I don't.
Oh wait, I did comment. Take that comment back and then go comment it.
There's just a few guys that we think with fantasy you need to watch on. Breece Hall is definitely one of them. Cooper Kupp is another one of them. I would still say Odell, depending on where he's at. I see him getting taken mightily early, and I don't think he's going to be the number one wide receiver on that team.
Somebody posted on Twitter.
Zay Flowers will lead that team in receiving and receptions.
Somebody posted on Twitter that Odell Beckham is exceeding all expectations in preseason.
Well, it's hard to
did you see what
expectations when you play like crap.
No, did you see my post?
No.
I said, well, obviously he hasn't gotten injured. His expectations were to get injured in the preseason. I mean, even Baltimore fans are like realists about this. They know they only have him for 4 weeks. Like,
it's maybe he could, I mean, him and Lamar will change injuries.
Well, here's what I will tell you. Here's what I will tell you about like Odell. Like my issue with Odell, and if you're drafting Odell, please take him like 7th, 8th. Like, do not take him higher than that.
Below.
If you're taking him higher than that, you're reaching. I would take Amari Cooper over Odell all day.
Stats don't lie.
I would take Pickens over Odell all day.
I would take Zay over Odell.
I did take Zay over Odell. Yes. So, yes. But here's what I'm saying.
I would take Amari Cooper over Odell all day long.
What was I getting into? Injuries. Man, I threw myself off.
All right.
You're killing me. I quit. I lost it.
Okay,
I lost it.
You're talking about Odell and injuries.
Yeah, I lost it. I lost my train of thought. I do know that taking a guy like Cooper Kupp, I think his risk, I don't know. There's just so many other people that are going to play in the first 2-3 rounds. I wouldn't risk on Cooper Kupp until like back at a third.
I don't even know if I take him then because you still have immense talent.
But I know that they said that Van Jefferson is going to be the number one.
So he's out at least 2 weeks.
And Van?
No, I
Cooper
would think
Kupp.
Cooper
Oh,
Kupp's
yeah.
out at
No,
least
I don't know if he's out 2 weeks. We still have, 10 days till football? Like Sunday.
Yeah.
No,
we have 7 days, bud.
Oh, yeah. Today's Sunday. Holy cow. Wow. The time's flying. Let's get in. So...
Let's talk about game of the week.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this Thursday game for a little
Detroit
bit. Let's talk about this
KC.
Thursday game.
So I think that Detroit I think Detroit will be able to compete. I don't doubt that they're gonna, they can win. I think they're gonna be a contender this year. I think they're gonna prove a lot of people wrong. And if they win that game, they're gonna cement themselves, like I said, as a definite contender for the season. Because if you beat the Super Bowl champs. I mean, that is huge. Week 1, prime time.
That's what. Okay.
Young team.
Can I? Okay. I'm gonna respond to that, and then I got to go back because I remember what I was thinking about.
I'll shut up for a minute.
I remember what I was thinking about. So I agree with you on the Detroit KC thing. KC, when they played the Browns the year after they went to the Super Bowl, the Browns almost beat them. It wasn't until the Nick Chubb fumble on the goal line that we lost the game. Okay, so I think Kansas City is beatable very early on. Very early on. If you let them make that's like the Bill Belichick of adjustments throughout the season.
Yeah.
So they're gonna make adjustments, and that team is going to gradually get better. Now the question is, did Bieniemy make that offense? Or is Patrick Mahomes making that offense? Because a lot of people were saying with Washington, Bieniemy's offense looks very good.
So I watched that Washington game with Sam Howell. And Bieniemy is building that offense. He's 100% in on Howell. He is building that offense around Howell and how Howell played in college. And, they're 100% in, which is great for Howell.
You seen the hype on Howell, man? They're like, if I would have known he was this good, I'd have started him sooner. What is going on over there? I mean, whatever crack they're smoking in Washington,
I need some.
I need some because Howell is just Baker.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
Baker could have been great. I mean,
I think so. What Baker... We'll talk about this. Is just real quick. I'm not a Baker hater. He won a playoff game.
He's a Baker hater.
I love it. But
don't let him fool you. He's a Baker hater.
I hate guys who have such attitude when they're not top tier. Patrick Mahomes, he's swaggy. He wants to talk some shit. That's fine. But Baker,
attitude's an understatement. Baker had more ego than anybody.
I called him Johnny Manziel 2.0 with his ego, and everybody laughed.
Oh, his Manziel was way worse. His ego was way worse than Manziel.
It's Manziel-esque. I'm the reason we're winning. I'm the team. No, you're not. It's a team game, bro. You got to relax.
That's the question, right?
Play, prove it.
Is Bieniemy the reason that offense was doing good? And if so, are people out on Washington when they shouldn't be? Because Washington is also in a very hard conference, and if Bieniemy can just turn that offense up enough, that defense is stout. Yeah,
so I don't... Are you saying Bieniemy made the entire offense or helped make that offense?
I'm saying Bieniemy is the reason that offense was able to produce without weapons.
So I think
that makes sense.
I think Bieniemy is worth.
And don't come at me with the whole Kelsey not a weapon bullshit.
No.
I'm just talking anybody out there. I know Kelsey's the top tight end in the NFL. I know he's probably going to go down as one of the, if not the greatest tight end of all time.
I like Tony Gonzalez.
Let's not argue about that one aspect as a weapon when you are going to sit there and tell me that Juju's your number 1 wide receiver, Kadarius Toney, who can't stay on the field, is your number 2 wide receiver. Number 3 wide receiver, I was a ham sandwich because they were always injured, so they had to throw whoever in on the field.
So going back to the Bieniemy real quick, call me crazy, but I think Bieniemy is worth 2 to 3 wins for the Chiefs.
Well, if that's the case, didn't they have 8 wins last year?
No, the Chiefs had Washington, yeah.
So that's playoff contention.
Yeah, that division is going to be. You got 3 good divisions. You got the NFC East, which used to be a laugh show about 5 years ago, and now you have the AFC North and the AFC East, and then you have the AFC West. So
the entire AFC is stacked right now. Because of the quarterback situation, the entire AFC is stacked right now.
So if you look at the top 10 top 10 quarterbacks from the AFC, the NFC, it's not even palpable. It's a huge difference. There's a huge drop off between
Brock Purdy's in their top 8. That's the sad part.
Yeah, Jared Goff. I think he's the 4th best maybe in the NFC East. Or the NFC.
I'm not gonna get it. We'll talk about that. So let me go back to one thing for you before we go further, because I'm gonna forget this. The Odell thing.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking about injuries. Here's my issue with Odell. Even getting drafted in fantasy early is if you look at the corners he's playing, they're very physical corners. He's playing Emerson. He's playing Porter.
Twice a year.
I think they have...
Twice a year.
I think they have a turkey sandwich playing corner at...
Cincinnati,
but...
maybe an Apple.
No, Apple's not there no more.
Bird toast.
No, I think Apple got signed to Buffalo, I think.
Oh, God.
Dude, it's bad.
Apple's dog shit.
Well, no, Miami might have signed him because they had that injury.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Odell's going to be playing a lot of physical corners that are bigger than him.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Odell getting injured, and not because Odell's injury prone, but because of who he's playing against.
But division wise, you look at the division. Let's just look at the Browns in Pittsburgh. Those corners there are good. You have, like you said, you have Emerson, you have Ward, you have
safety. You got Delpit.
Delpit. You have Greedy still.
Yeah.
I mean, then you got Joey Porter Jr. You have with the Steelers.
We don't have Greedy Williams. Went to Philly.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. Greedy Williams with the Philly. No, I am thinking of Grant Delpit. You're right. My bad.
What's that?
Are
you sure you've been paying attention to football?
We drafted another corner in this draft they love.
We did. All I know is that Odell,
we got a kicker.
Fantasy-wise, oh, my God, don't even get me started. This year has literally, I think this is the most trades in the NFL I've ever seen for a kicker.
I was hoping we would get the guy from the Saints.
You know what's funny? Dallas didn't draft a kicker or trade for one.
It's because Dallas dog shit. I hate Dallas with a passion.
I just think it's funny. Didn't their kicker lose them a game?
Brian McManus.
No, wasn't it Maher?
Brett Maher? Yeah, I think you're right. I think he lost.
Jerry Jones came down and put out an interview for all the fans on the field. Anybody want to come in and pitch kick? Anybody?
I think you're right.
I mean, at least Kate York didn't miss those kicks.
So let's talk about the Monday night game. I think that's going to be the biggest game. The Thursday and the Monday night game, I think, are the biggest games for this week. Because you got the Jets.
And who?
And I don't know.
Well, you can't talk about it if you don't remember.
I had my cheat sheet up.
You're just mad I didn't leave the board out here. You're writing them all down. I have two TVs in front of me.
Jets
I can't leave the board.
The Bills. So the Bills are at the Jets.
This is a
defense.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this because this is kind of like a telltale game.
Yeah, that offensive line is still a question mark for Rodgers. Mekhi Becton, he has
that offensive line is not. It's like a question mark's an understatement. Yeah. That offensive line is suspect, high school, capable.
I mean, Mekhi Becton is he has not.
Is it Mekhi or Mekhi Becton?
I think it's Mekhi.
Mekhi sounds better. Mekhi.
Becton has not been what he was promised to be. I mean, he was drafted, I believe, in the first round.
Yeah,
He hasn't been a first-round talent. He came in last year overweight. He doesn't look comfortable at that left side. He doesn't. But who looks really good that we had as a top 5.
We're not gonna jump into that. You can't go. Hold on. Yeah, but you can't. Okay. See, here's the thing.
I like patting my back. I'm sorry.
I apologize, guys. We had very high-ranked guys on offensive line who didn't get drafted till the 5th, 6th, and 7th round. But I'm not going to switch from talking about the game of the week in your mind.
How about Cody Mack?
To talking about a Browns player who's not even on the rosters of the teams you're talking about. I love DeJuan Jones. I love Luke Whippler. I'm not talking about those guys when we're talking about the suspect offensive line on the Jets and the suspect secondary and the suspect, mid-level defense because Von Miller's not starting for Buffalo.
Yeah, he's hurt.
So Von Miller's out for at least the first 4 games, I think they said. So Buffalo, the Jets are going to play the easiest Buffalo defense they'll play all year.
All year, yes.
And that is the worst offensive line probably in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there should have been a trade, or they should have invested more in that offensive line during the draft. Maybe.
I don't think Aaron cares because I think Aaron thinks he can escape.
Aaron's not. He's not a runner though.
He can.
He can.
He's like Trevor Lawrence. He can escape the pocket. That's not the issue. I think the issue is going to be you're not playing Minnesota's defense twice a year. You're not playing a Chicago defense who is not the Chicago of old twice a year,
you're playing the old Detroit defense.
Right?
Who couldn't rush an 80-year-old. woman.
So you're going up against a top 5 defense of Buffalo, a top. I mean, Miami might be the only suspect defense.
New England's another great defense.
New England's consistently a top 15 defense.
Yeah.
So you're not going up against schlubs on the defensive position.
There's a lot of questions at offensive line, and we saw it during preseason. You don't know what you're going to get from play to play. It's a big question mark.
And they play that offensive. The backup offensive line played like our third stringers, and we were destroying them.
It looked bad. I mean, they couldn't stop anything.
It was bad. But yeah, I don't. So here, to me, that's not the game of the week. To me, that's the must watch. You have to watch just because you have to see what Aaron's going to do. But if you're drafting in fantasy, like I like to bring it back to fantasy because obviously, like Ryan likes to pick on me all the time. He goes, the only reason people watch football now is fantasy, and I used to disagree with him. I'm kind of more agree with him now because
bye weeks seem to be like that.
Oh yeah, bye weeks are horrible this year. But definitely look at the schedules when you go to draft your players. Week 13 and I think week 6. Are the 2 6-team bye weeks.
Yeah, and week 8 and week 12, there's no bye.
Yeah, and then week 8 and week 12, there's no bye weeks. And then,
weird.
and I think bye weeks start week 5 and end week 13. So, end week 14. 14, because 15 on, there's no bye weeks. 15 to 18, and then 1 through 4, there's no bye weeks. So, definitely pay attention to your bye weeks, because there's week 13 and week 6 are, I mean, to be honest, if you really wanted to, who cares about your bye weeks? Just take that week off if you're going to have a good roster. But I definitely would pay attention to those bye weeks because those are the 2 big weeks. And then this year, I know there's a lot of games on Saturday towards the end of the season. Yeah. So you got to pay attention to those. And if any of you guys have anybody you draft or any trade opportunities you want to take and talk to us. Just make sure you preface what kind of league it is. Dynasty.
I did accept that trade.
The Kenneth Walker.
No, the Breece Hall and Michael Pittman for JT trade.
I would.
I took the JT side.
Yeah, I would take Jonathan Taylor if you can sit on him.
I mean, I won the championship next year. I have an extra first round. Or last year, I got an extra first round pick in a trade I made earlier this season. So I'm looking good. At the risk that we can take, it's fine. I'll stick with JT over Breece Hall and Pittman.
Yeah. Now, here's one other question for you, because I know we're talking a little bit about fantasy, and I don't want to give you credit where credit's due, but God, do I need to roll my eyes 50 more times because no one knew this was happening. Arizona cut Colt McCoy,
and I called that. Did I not?
They signed Josh Dobbs. Is Clayton Tune starting? Because I know you've been telling people.
I think I had a hunch.
Or is Josh Dobbs getting a shot, and then if he doesn't work out, Clayton Tune's in? And Kyler might be out all year from what we're hearing. From what we're hearing, if you're drafting Kyler, it might not be a good option.
Don't draft Kyler in the first 8 rounds.
I don't even know if I draft him in the first 14 rounds because there is a possibility in his contract, and this was read to me the other day with Ryan, is that if Kyler's making $39 million, whatever, this year. If Kyler Murray comes in, plays and gets injured, and he's out for the rest of the season, he gets the additional portion of his contract, which is like $40 million. So he can make almost 90-some-odd million dollars this year.
They're not going to play him.
So the question is, if you're not winning games, is my thought process. Like if you're not going 6-0 with Clayton Tune or Josh Dobbs, and you're not winning games, you're not playing Kyler.
No.
Because it's not worth a $40 million cap hit. So
going back to the Arizona thing, them cutting Colt McCoy, really dumb. Them trading for Joshua Dobbs, another dumb move. Joshua Dobbs.
I don't know. The trade is dumb.
Yes, the trade is dumb.
The trade is dumb, but because they traded a 5th for Josh Dobbs, who was a 3rd-string quarterback. Yeah. The trade is dumb.
Yeah, the Browns hosed Arizona because Dobbs was our 2nd string, but DTR is definitely our 2nd.
Yeah, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I would have loved to traded him for a 2nd. Could you imagine we drafted him in the 5th and you traded for a 2nd? Just off his preseason film? That'd have been awesome.
But so everybody's like, oh, Joshua Dobbs is this great veteran. He's only had 3 starts in the NFL. He's not. I mean, he's been in the NFL, but he only has 3 starts. I don't consider him a veteran. Yeah,
and I think one's for Tennessee, one's for the Browns, and I think he started one for the Steelers.
Yeah, he's only played 3 games. So setting that aside, I think Clayton Tune starts for the Cardinals, even though they traded for Dobbs. I think Clayton Tune will start.
Okay, so you think they're going to want to see what they have in Clayton Tune?
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's young.
Now,
he's a rookie.
Against your argument that the Cardinals are going to go for Caleb.
I still think they are, but
well, here's the thing. You still have to get someone to buy onto that contract, which is like fully guaranteed pretty much. So are they going to trade and try to swap a one, or are they going to say, hey, we're already out this year. We can make Kyler work next 3 years.
I could see that. I was looking at their team. They traded away a lot of pieces, but if they suck for a year, they get a good draft pick. They could trade down.
And they have a young tight end.
They have two. Remember, because they traded with Houston. They
have 2 top 10 picks possibly. Yeah, so the possibility they could have the number 1 and they could have the number 3 or 5 pick because Houston might be a bottom.
And you can trade that down again and just build up. I think so. When I really look at that,
they could do what Chicago did. Correct.
But like what you said, when we got off the phone the other day and we talked about Kyler's contract, I went and read into it. It makes no sense for them to go get Caleb Williams, so I'll take the loss on that because with the way that Kyler's contract is structured, it's going to be really hard to find a suitor for that for you to get.
I've told you, man. You can't get out of that contract unless Kyler retires.
Ryan also said this. So I think what they're going to do is, they're going to trade down, get a couple of draft picks, assets, help build up around that offense again, take a bad...
Well, and you have tight ends. You have Trey McBride, who you drafted, who was a stout tight end. Well, Zach Ertz, you can probably move on from next year. I think they might have an out next year. And you can go... I think they have 2 tight ends sitting there. And then you got Marquise Brown, a young wide receiver, extended him 3 years. And then you have Michael Wilson, who we really liked coming out of this draft. Yeah. And then, so you've got some pieces you're bringing in. And then what you can do, this is not a defensive draft. No. This is more of an offensive draft. There's going to be defensive players. Don't get me wrong. There will be defensive players, but this is more of an offensive draft. This is a draft where you pick your guy and trade down, like you just said.
But so looking at that division, I mean, you have the Rams who are You have Seattle, who
Rams are in it to win it for another year, and if they don't win it this year, I think the Rams have to make moves.
The Cardinals are in a very good situation with. I don't want to. I think they sit Kyler. If I'm the owners, if I'm the coach, like you said, there's no sense in risking them. Let's sit them for the year. We'll go with Clayton Tune. We go up to Kyler. Hey, we're going to sit you for the year. We're behind you 100% for the next 3 years. Don't worry about that. We're not going after Caleb.
Right.
We want to build up around the team to help you. Give you the best possible assets.
I think you have to build the trenches because if you look at what Chicago's done and you look at what
the Texans did too,
or even the Browns, like almost and San Francisco, like these teams, you could pretty much kind of pick and play a quarterback. You're going to get some decent quarterback play out of anybody.
Yeah.
So like Jacoby was not a starting quarterback, and coming into Cleveland, like he put up very good numbers like Geno Smith.
Yeah,
Seattle.
but the trend, like you said, the trenches. I mean. Amari Cooper was 1,000-yard wide receiver. He would have been 1,000 yards easily with Jacoby Brissett anyways.
And I'm not out on Arizona this year just because they got the offensive coordinator from the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, so I think Clayton Tune definitely takes a step in, and you're just going to kind of maybe play the hot hand. You'll see what you got with Clayton Tune. You'll see what you got with Dobbs. I don't like that they cut McCoy. I liked McCoy. He's a journeyman guy. He did well when he was there.
Here's my issue with Clayton Tune. He's not a Kyler backup.
No, he's not. So he doesn't fit that offense at all. Not at all. Joshua Dobbs, yes.
Josh Dobbs does.
Yeah, he fits that offense much better. If you watched him in college with the Tennessee Volunteers, he played similar to Kyler. He relies on his arm, but he also can run out. He doesn't run himself into bad situations, though. His biggest issue is he forces passes into tight windows and has interception issues.
And I also, like most people don't know this, but I also saw Jonathan Taylor as a suitor to go to Arizona. Now, maybe not this year, but they could sign him.
Oh, they have. They definitely could because besides Kyler, you're not really paying anybody else.
And then you're going to come in drafting a whole bunch of rookies.
You got Hollywood Brown still. Hollywood Brown, you could probably let go in a couple of years, depending on who.
Maybe.
So
he's a solid number 2.
Arizona is pretty much, I want to say, with keeping Kyler and going into a
rebuild.
I don't want to say, but
it's a rebuild. It's a rebuild because that whole defense is going to be all new in a year.
You traded you traded Isaiah Simmons for a 7th. He was a first-round pick. 4 years ago?
It's been a while, but yeah. They traded everybody, and it's obvious they're in a rebuild, but
it's a smart time for them to do it. Like you said, the division's not that good.
They can actually compete and rebuild at the same time.
So they're not going to be terrible, and
it's what? Seattle, Arizona. You said the Rams, and then I think San Fran.
Yeah.
So San Fran's the clear winner.
Yeah. San Fran. I mean, I don't think
unless the Rams are competing this year, we'll find out.
I don't know with Cooper Kupp, you're missing at least 2 games.
Matt Stafford could put up receivers though.
Yeah, he can, but it's all healthy. Can they stay healthy?
I think so. I give them 8 to 9 wins.
Yeah, I mean,
because of the defense. Aaron Donald's solid. Yeah. And if and Ryan makes great points when it comes to Aaron Donald, maybe they trade Aaron Donald before the deadline.
I think he has a no trade clause on his contract that he signed with them.
I'd have to look into it. I just know that would be interesting if they traded him before the deadline, because now that team could be in a rebuild. So you could have 2 teams in a rebuild within like a year in this division. And we all know Stafford's getting old, so we kind of expected this to happen with Stafford at any point in time now. That's a quarterback question mark, right? If you're drafting, do you draft anybody out of this division at quarterback?
He does have a no trade clause.
Okay, do you draft anybody out of this division at quarterback? You're obviously not. We just said you're not going to draft Kyler. You should or you shouldn't draft Kyler.
If I'm the Rams and I suck bad, and I'm a top 3, top 4 pick.
I'm talking fantasy wise. Fantasy wise, do you draft any of these quarterbacks in this? Like maybe Geno?
I don't even. So everybody is hyped up on Seattle. I get it. I 100% get it. Geno, comeback player. He came back. He did awesome.
He's also the most accurate quarterback last year. Most efficient.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks, like we said in the AFC. So I mean, depending on if.
So he's your backup. In a 12-team league, you like him as a backup.
Depending on how you run that roster. If you go heavy wide receiver, running back, and then you take your quarterback late, and Geno's your quarterback. I don't hate that, but by not any means I'm taking Geno Smith super early. It just depends how you structure your team, Right. If you structure it with a lot of talented wide receivers.
Would you take Matt Stafford over Geno?
No.
Because of the weapons that Matt Stafford has right now?
Yes. And the injury to Cooper Kupp.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because of the weapons. He's throwing to Van Jefferson, and I think the other guy's last name is the P.
And you got Higbee you're throwing to.
I can't remember his name for some reason.
It just... With Seattle, you're throwing to JSN.
Oh yeah,
you're throwing to Lockett, and you're throwing to DK.
So do you want Higbee this year? Ooh,
Tyler Higbee on the Rams.
Yeah,
I mean,
if that's like your number 2 target.
Yeah, I mean, Higbee didn't do the good last year. I didn't do bad last year. I think he was
a top 10.
12.
He was a top 10 guy. I think
he was up there. So I mean, it just. I don't see the Rams doing that good. I see Seattle having. I think Seattle has 10 to maybe 9 to 11 wins.
What they did last year.
I think they had. I think
what they did last year. I think they were 9 and.
I don't think they're gonna wow people, but I think they're definitely gonna be competitive and continue to just be good. The biggest question with Seattle though is just their defense.
I don't think that's so much of a question mark. They just drafted defense.
That interior D-line is what worries me with that defense.
Yeah, didn't they draft? They drafted defense this year, didn't they?
Yeah, but that interior D-line is just... their secondary, it's just... Their offense is definitely... I think they have the second best offense in that division behind the Niners, in my opinion. If you added somebody other than Brock Purdy,
they have one of the best cornerback duo in the NFL.
Know, but I'm saying their defensive line is what worries me.
They have Jerron Reed, right?
And they have Tyreek Woolen.
Draymond Jones. They got Moye Bafe
and Tariq Woolen.
I said that. Boye Mafe. I switched the M and the B.
Moye Bafe.
Yeah. Bobby Wagner. Quandra Diggs, which is their free safety.
Tariq Woolen is on the
Tariq Woolen and then Witherspoon are both cornerbacks.
Yeah,
on that.
Their secondary is stout, but like I said, their D line's a little worrisome.
I'm not even bad. Their mid level is not bad.
It's just they're the second best.
Their D ends. I agree with you. They're probably going to struggle getting to the quarterback.
That's my worry with them because
But do you need to care about that when you have some of the best corners in the NFL?
I mean, the Dolphins built it like that. The Dolphins they have a better secondary than their defensive ends. Do you know the Dolphins' defensive ends? Because I do not. I'll be honest.
Oh, you know what I forgot? No, this doesn't matter.
I
was just looking up Charles Cross, the left tackle for Seattle, and the Browns signed Leatherwood.
Did we?
Alex Leatherwood to the practice squad. Dude, the Browns are? I think they're retooling that offensive line slowly.
Yeah, so
they're going to be getting rid of some of these older offensive linemen, and they're going to be putting in like Alex Leatherwood, DeJuan Jones, Luke Whippler.
Don't be surprised if we trade.
And Browns just restructured. We just restructured Jedrick Wills.
Okay,
we saved money.
He's not going to.
We just saved money on Jed.
Okay, so you're going to be trading probably Joel.
Antonio. They might take Leatherwood
and the right tackle.
I don't think you
Jack
trade
Conklin.
There's no way you trade Joel Bitonio. I see Jack Conklin, but we just re-signed him. We just re-signed him.
Injury history. He misses a couple games a year.
We literally this year just re-signed Conklin.
I know, but
we should have never signed Conklin.
No, if you have DeJuan Jones playing that good, are you going to stick with Conklin, or are you going to stick with the young guy, who he has a bit more pep in the step? And that's nothing against Conklin, but it's just all about how, like we said, how you tool your team. It just depends. The Browns this is definitely their make it or break it year for this ownership, for this coaching staff, because guess what? That's when they went out and got a kicker. That's why they went out and got Dustin Hopkins, because you don't need Cody Parkey. God damn, that was a while ago.
Cade
York's costing you games. And so I had this discussion with Steve the other day.
Steve still talks football?
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I personally think that Justin Tucker is good for 3 to 4 wins a year. I mean, from 50 yards.
Justin Tucker obviously being the greatest kicker of all time.
Yeah, but
you can kiss my ass. Anybody that's a Vinatieri fan, Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker of all time. If you go look at percentages made, Justin Tucker's made 99% of his extra points and 93% of all of his field goals, and he's on a team where he kicks a shit ton of field goals. And then on top of that, like the average of most other, because my dad apparently thought that 83% was bad for Dustin Hopkins, who was a career 83% accuracy. Like most are around the 70% mark.
So the average for NFL kickers right now is about 75 to 78%. Anything higher than that is a very good percentage for a kicker. I had this discussion the other day with
same argument. Like everybody's like, 83% is not good. 83% is freaking great.
Yeah, if you go and look at all the Browns kickers that we've had.
Justin Hopkins is like the 5th highest and most accurate of all time. Like I didn't look at oh my God. Oh, sacrilegious right now. Phil Dawson's accuracy.
I was about to say, let me bring.
I didn't look up Phil Dawson's accuracy, but
for reference, so people can.
I would also argue that a lot of people don't understand. I don't know how we got on kickers again. I would like to argue that Phil Dawson is kicking in one of the hardest places to kick off the water, and his accuracy was probably around 78.
No, so Phil Dawson's percentage for his career at field goals,
not on PATs, on field goals, right?
For field goals was 83.8%.
Oh my God, we have Phil Dawson! We have Phil Dawson 2.0!
And his extra points was 97.6.
Yeah, so Phil Dawson's one of the greatest of all time.
But, so...
On the lake. So Justin Tucker's not kicking on the lake.
No.
He's kicking in the middle of the land with no wind.
Yeah, but Justin Tucker's also not kicking in domes where a lot of these other guys are.
Phil Dawson wasn't either.
No, I'm not taking anything.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. He's kicking the AFC.
We started talking about kickers because what people don't realize is kickers matter.
Yes, the average point differential between a team's win and loss is 3.5 points. I would argue that doesn't matter because it's 3.5.
Yeah, but so let's
3 points get you a tie.
Let's say the last 3 years.
I would argue that doesn't matter.
Let's say the last 3 years, if the Browns had a kicker like Justin Tucker, we would have won more games, way more games, because back in 2020, we had 3 games where we lost because of field goals.
Yeah, but
I think it was 5 games actually.
I think the stat that would matter the most, because playoffs matter. If you can get to the playoffs, if you're winning, playoff games are always close.
Yes.
Maybe if you make it into the playoffs, a kicker does matter. I think getting to the playoffs, a kicker shouldn't matter. Obviously, we also get some of the worst calls in the NFL.
that's not a coincidence. Let's be honest.
I don't even like to talk about reffing anymore because we all saw these hits that were called, that their emphasis leading with your helmet.
I mean,
this offseason.
Look at the playoff game against
it's bad.
With the Kansas City. Look at that playoff.
We're going to emphasize it 4 years later. Whatever. I don't blame it on Rashard Higgins for reaching for that end zone.
No.
But I think that's where we're going to kind of leave it today. We're going to get into the Thursday night game on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a stardom sit-ems list for you of guys in that game. And then we're going to get into the Sunday games more towards Sunday.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get into all those games on Sunday morning.
Also, real quick, some guys that you want to pick up, I'm guessing they've already been picked up. I picked them up at a lot of my leagues. Aiden O'Connell,
Sean Tucker,
and Clayton Tune. I have Aiden O'Connell and Clayton
I like
Tune
Aiden O'Connell because if Aiden O'Connell's preseason has been very good. And we liked Aiden O'Connell. You guys liked Aiden. You and Ryan liked Aiden O'Connell coming out there. If he hits, that's a miss on me because I did not like him. Ugly quarterbacks don't play well. That's all I got to say. There's some weird statistic out there where most quarterbacks are premium men, and no homo, ugly quarterbacks don't normally play well.
I have a nice end of the show take, so I'll let you take it.
But no, like I was liking your pickups. JSN, I don't know if I'd reach on him.
No,
he's going to get the third target share. He might jump
Tyler, but it's
I think he might take over like Disley's targets a little bit.
Yeah.
Tight end targets because of his ability to catch. I will say late round pickups that I wouldn't be opposed to a Cedric Tillman in the 14th or 15th round just because the targets he's getting in preseason are very good, and he's the fourth guy, I think, on the depth chart behind Donovan Peoples-Jones. Goodwin is probably going to be fifth or specialist in kick return.
He's going to be, from what I saw, he's going to be a kick return specialist.
Another guy that a lot of people don't understand, who's not getting drafted at all right now, is Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson just got cleared off the PUP list, and he's coming back probably week 2 or 3 at probably 100% week 2 or 3. I would probably look at him as a waiver wire pickup because he and Daniel Jones had a very good connection last year, and it wasn't until that knee injury that he went down. He probably could have been one of the best receivers last year.
Yeah.
That's another guy that's not getting drafted. You think of anybody else?
Xavier Hutchinson isn't, but
I wouldn't touch Arizona's offense right now just because of the situation. I understand the Clayton Tune argument.
Yes, Xavier is a guy I've liked. I should say I'm a little opposed.
That's the kid out of the Giants, right?
No, he's on
Texas.
Houston.
Okay, he's in here. See, so my issue with
it's crowded.
Yeah, it's crowded with a lot of mid-tier guys.
Exactly.
So I just don't know who's going to win the targets.
No, but if you can get him, I wouldn't put a draft pick on him unless it's
is it Jalen Hyatt that went to the Giants?
Jalen Hyatt, yeah. He went to the Giants. He's the other Tennessee player that.
Yeah. Hyatt's looking good on the Giants.
Hyatt did good this year. Cedric Tillman did good last year in the college.
I like Tillman.
I do too.
I wasn't as high on Tillman as Steve was, but I like Tillman watching his preseason film and watching the way he's bodying up corners.
He runs really good routes. He's a very physical.
He's Amari Cooper's replacement.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I think he's 100% Amari Cooper's replacement.
He's got great hands too. Great hands.
And I'm telling you, man, going in and I know there's some people that hate the wide receiver core in Cleveland. Going into next year with a young receiving core of a 24-year-old, a 25-year-old, and maybe one 30-year-old, and you can draft a better receivers. It's looking good.
Elisha Moore still has 2 years left.
Yeah, I mean, and he's 24.
Yeah. I mean, you got the Browns. They didn't do this.
I'm really impressed with the front office and what they've done. The problem is, can they put the coaching staff? Can the coaching staff do the right job?
Yeah, can everything mesh together? Is what the biggest question mark is.
So, that being said, go ahead, give me your takeaways for the day, Wills.
My quick takeaway. Call me crazy.
You're crazy.
Go look at the Dak Prescott contract and see what he's making next year. You'll understand why they traded for Trey Lance.
I got nothing on that one.
He's due to make $60 million.
I think it's funny that everybody said that Trey Lance, a lot was lifted off his shoulders, and everybody's like, he's now the backup behind Dak. And I'm like, Cooper Rush is still there.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush is the backup. Trey Lance is the third stringer.
Don't be surprised by that trade at all with how much Dak will be making next year.
Here's what I'll tell you. We are coming at you with more shows. We will hopefully be coming at you with a whole bunch of energy. I know me and Wheels are in on the season. I'm in like 5 fantasy leagues. I know Wheels is in like 4 or 5. He's in like 3 dynasty leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ecstatic this year for this football season. Not just because I'm a Browns fan. I am just ecstatic to be this involved in football with friends, family, and just enjoying everybody out there during the football
100%.
season. Not excited for YouTube because I know it's going to crash week 1. There's no way they can handle Sunday Ticket through a streaming service. No way. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I am super excited for, like I said, NFL kickoff on Thursday at, I think it's 8 o'clock for Kansas City and Detroit in Kansas City. And I think there will be an upset day 1. So I definitely have Detroit winning that game over Kansas City. It's a slight margin. I think it's like, I think I got it like 30-27. But I definitely have Detroit winning that game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Both quarterbacks are going to be slinging it. Both quarterbacks have proven they can sling it. One has a better receiving core than the other.
Oh, yeah.
That's about all I can say. So, and then a lot of people know that the running back rooms are very stacked on both sides. So that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. This is your last Sunday off for another 18 weeks.
Tell the wife.
This is not, I haven't had a Sunday off in a long time.
Yeah.
But I hope everybody enjoys this year of 2023 football and we get into it. That being said, man, you guys have a wonderful day and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Later.